don't know. I feel like this is probably going to be the earliest we ever record something.
Oh yeah.
But it's for good circumstance.
I don't want to make you record anything earlier than this.
Nah, it's cool. It's cool, man. It's what we do. All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to your regularly scheduled PR Waiting Room podcast. I'm joined by Brian once again.
Yes, hello everybody.
Yes, we got two doctors in the house, a Dr. B and an actual Dr. Moon. So
yeah, please congratulate Dr. Moon in the comments. Say thank you, Dr. Moon.
Yes. So passed my board exam, wahoo. And now we're going to talk about Pokemon because we had our 2 drafts for this season. So we ended up splitting our format into 2 parts because we got so many people that wanted to play and there just weren't enough Pokemon to draft. So we kind of had to get creative with that. So we split into 2 conferences and each conference had their own draft. So that's why you see Skarmory on here twice, T-Tar on here twice. It's a little out there, but we figured this would be the best way to get everybody who wanted to participate involved and have 2 drafts, because honestly, drafting is like the best night we have on the server.
Yeah, and 18 different people wanting to play Gen 3, a format none of us have played competitively before, is kind of wild.
Yeah.
So that'll be really fun.
Yeah, so today we're going to be breaking down all the teams. Some of them have names, not all yet, but it'll come in the future. So we'll start with the Ruby Conference. As of recording this, they drafted last night. So this is all fresh in our heads, and the Sapphire Conference we'll talk about last. We drafted that last week in reference to when we are recording this. So we'll start with Adam's team, Pika Top Tier, great name.
Very, very good.
And Adam chose Skarmory first overall, which if you actually play Gen 3, this is not surprising in the slightest. And with Skarm, he paired it with a lot of really good Pokemon that kind of bounce off Skarm really well, just like in terms of like type immunities. Like we got Jolteon, we got Houndoom, and obviously both of them are immune to electric and fire attacks, which is really cool. Brian, what do you think about Adam's team as we kind of scroll down and check it out?
Yeah, Adam's team is really neat. I don't know, I was testing it last night. He wanted to test out some of his builds, and I think on paper this team has everything you want. It has, the best mon in the game, followed by the best immunity in the game in Jolteon. Like, you've got that combo you really like. But he then took, I think, a really good, a really Adam direction, and he picked a bunch of like really high offensive powered mons with his UBLs and UUs. And we're gonna see, I think, whether he can like use that offensive presence more. It's not really a bulky defensive Skarmory core like I might have expected.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we'll see if that can work out through the season.
Yeah, I also really like the Swellow pick because one, like you have the Spikes immunity.
Yep.
But like Swellow has the really cool set with Starfberry and Baton Pass.
Oh, and this team has just enough to make that work. I was just thinking about that. Yeah.
Plus, like I think Banette was a great pick. Because if you're taking Skarm and you're really going into Spikes, you need to have a spin blocker. If you don't, I feel like you're just missing something huge. Because like you can have the best Pokemon, but like if you can't keep your Spikes up, what's
right?
The point?
And Skarmory can't take Gengar due to our draft rules, and he would never come back anyways. And most of the time, you wouldn't expect to get Dusclops, even if you were. I'm not sure you'd want to use him so much on a UBL slot, so that really just leaves you with Misdreavus and Banette. And it's kind of yin and yang, Misdreavus filling that really nice defensive role, but oh my gosh, that Banette hits like a truck.
Yeah,
I really
120
like
attack is crazy.
It's so good. Choice Band Shadow Ball, it's insanity. While spin blocking, most things that want to spin can't really hit Banette, so kind of nice.
Yeah, I also like the Diglett pick.
Yeah, someone was chatting up to pick Diglett.
Yeah, it's funny, but like, I mean, if you just trap the other fire and electric types, besides like, Zardon, Moltres, and Zapdos, but like, that's just really funny and it's pretty strong. It just makes Skarm unkillable as always.
Yeah, like if you can get Diglett in on, say, like Ampharos or something, it's gone. Skarmory's biggest threat is gone. Lovely.
Yeah, and especially like having good Baton Pass support with fast guys like Jolteon, Swellow, and Scyther too.
He's got
like
a huge
you just come in, it's
too.
like, oop, okay, delete button.
It's a little unfortunate that he has to run dry baton pass, I think, on Swallow and Jolteon if he wants to do Scyther baton pass stuff, so making it a little bit less useful.
Yeah, but
That's
even then,
true.
like just having the momentum, it's your U-turn, it doesn't do damage.
Yeah, and I will say one more thing. I think it's a great team. It's honestly one of my favorite teams. There is just one flaw with it, and I cannot find a good dedicated special wall on this team. It's gonna have to put a lot of work on Regirock and Blastoise to hold off, and maybe even specially defensive Jolteon at times.
Yeah, thankfully
Yeah,
there
that
aren't
works.
a lot of really good grass types.
Yeah,
But like, when Adam runs into Celebi on Corey's team, that's going to be a bit of an issue, for sure.
Mm.
But you know, it's nothing that Skarmory can't handle. So
and
It'll be okay.
for what I think this was a fantastic draft by Adam, and I give him 2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up, gold star for Adam.
Yay! Yippee!
So we'll talk about David's team next. David definitely went in with a plan, and his plan was shaken a little bit, but still ended up with Tyranitar, and he got some really strong Pokemon. I question the synergy with Suicune. I mean, on typical ladder play, you just kind of forget about it because Suicune's so good. I just hope that, you know, David's able to get his mileage out of Suicune in draft and not be like, damn, I wish I didn't have to deal with sand every time.
Yeah.
Like, even pairing it, I love the Gligar pick. I think you can't run Sandvale, obviously, but like just that defensive synergy with T-Tar is super good. And Blaziken, we have 2 T-Tar Blaziken pairings, which I
we
think
have
is
2
cool.
single-minded people.
Yeah. But Porygon 2,
like
also great. Yeah.
His
anything to
top
add?
6, honestly, his top 6 are really scary. I don't know if the synergy, like the typing synergy, is there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember if he drafted a Spiker with T-Tar or not. I don't
He
think
did not.
Yeah, so he's gonna
not.
have to rely a little bit on Sand Chip and maybe like, you know, the TS part, just not adding that last little spikes part of the TSS.
Yeah.
Unlike, you know, the other T-Tar team, we'll get to that. But I think on like paper, he's got a lot of like good mons sitting at each type. So we'll see if just being able to use like the best, I'm not gonna say like the best value mon of each type in each selection here works out, because like, you know, that's Chimecho, that's the best psychic type in NU. That's Ampharos, he's probably one of the better electric types in UU. You know, Porygon 2, he's got all these nice things that synergize together, but whether or not it goes with the sand, that's really the toss up, like you said.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I think it's a pretty solid team.
And I
think-
say, I will say, underrated pick, Armaldo on sand teams, knock off sand, that's going to go brutal.
Yeah, I really like that pick a lot.
Yeah.
Sucks
Then
you
got-
can't run it with spin, but like,
Yeah.
there's a couple teams that don't have spikes, so you can afford to do that, and it's not a big
Exactly.
deal.
Yeah, and then you got the Porygon 2 and Suicune to defensively stall out. Like, it could be kind of brutal. I could see some nice long sets coming from David this year if he wants to do it that way.
Yeah. Plus, like, you could kind of run, like, if you really want to turn off your weather, you could run a little sun thing with Blaziken and Victory Bell.
Yeah.
Even if it's just, like, you know, 4 turns to win a game, and then all of a sudden weather's clear, and if you still have a full health Suicune, once the sun's gone, you can do that, and that could be kind of cool. So you get the best of both worlds.
Definitely worth a shot, I'd say, at some point.
So let's talk about Tim's team. I actually drafted Tim's team because he's on vacation.
Yeah.
He gave me a very extensive list on what he wanted. And to start off, he wanted Fortress and Moltres as his OUs. And they were both taken before it got back to him. We actually have
you do need to mention that the first pick was Swampert. That was...
Yes. So we do have a list of all these in a breakdown as well. But as you can see, we ended up taking Glalie in the second round, which definitely threw a lot of people for a loop. That's just because I was just listening to Tim, following his plan, and it was go for Fortress, and if no Fortress, go for Moltres. Both were gone, so we went with Plan C.
Even then, I cannot hate Glalie in the second round. Like, as stupid as that might sound, it is the best spiker in NU, and you're not committing a good mon to spikes, which is kind of neat.
Yeah.
So, and at the same time, like when we were there at the draft, people were upset. People were like, "No, Mike Glalie. I wanted Glalie. Like
Yeah.
this thing was wanted." So at the end of the day, as weird as it might seem, it kind of worked out.
Yeah. And having Charizard as a constellation prize really isn't that bad. Because it's just Moltres Light. And I think in terms of the support that filled out the rest of this team, I don't think missing Moltres and Fori isn't that big of a deal. Because like you get your spin blocker and Sableye.
Mm-hmm.
Here's your spinner and Hitmonchan if you ever need it. I mean, we talked about Glalie. And then Will-O-Wisp with Gardevoir, which, spoiler, Gardevoir was only taken in one draft, and I think we've seen in draft because we've both used it before.
Mm-hmm.
This is in DPP, but point still stands. It's great.
Yeah, the fact that it's good in DPP with like the even more relevant Pursuit Tar lying around is just a testament to how good it is. So yeah, no, Gardevoir is a sick mon. I think it really holds this core nicely together because I look at that top 5, right, and I see like Swampert, Umbreon, Registeel, a lot of bulk there hitting, not super hard, but being able to pivot that into Gardevoir for support and hitting hard to pivot then later into Charizard to clean up that's a nice 5.
Yeah, I think Gardevoir also really helps with. There's a definite fighting weakness.
Yes, I was going to point that out at some point.
Yeah, so having Sableye too, like I think the way that the draft had gone, there was like 3 to 4 fighting weak mons like by like round 7. It was like, oh
yeah, I had noticed that.
We're gonna have to do something about that.
Yeah, so the girls here.
I think
make it work. Hey, out of
he's a good
curiosity,
team. It's very solid.
How many evolutions were on Tim's list that he didn't get?
It was actually just Umbreon, and then if Gardevoir was gone, it would be Espeon.
Yeah, that
was it.
The little Gen 3 starters. And then I believe Tim's team has everything that you'd want on a Gen 3 team. Picking Swampert, like I said, picking Swampert pick 3 is definitely like not expected, but he is the classic like check all of Gen 3. Like you look at that top 8, even Fortress potentially, and you go, yeah, Swampert can handle every single one of them.
Yep.
So like I totally get why Tim wanted Swampert this gen, and I don't hate that pick.
Yeah. Just like defensively, it really holds it all together, which is awesome.
Right, in a draft format, I think defensive synergy and cores goes a lot longer than people realize.
Just gonna have to watch out for everybody running HP Grass, but that's
what
already happening, and it doesn't really change too much anyway.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about Dante's team.
Ooh, Dante came in and made
Dante's
some
team
decisions.
has some high numbers.
Yeah.
Just real quick, I think the biggest thing to take away is how hard it is to break Blissey plus Weezing.
Yep. It is the perfect defensive core.
Yeah, it's really strong, and I think Dante's going to get a lot of mileage out of it. Especially coming after last season where Dante's still a newer player, he's still getting the hang of it. Mm-hmm. Having something you can just rely on, be like, yeah, Blissey, go in, do stupid Blissey things, and then, oh no, it's a scary fighting type, go Weezing, do stupid Weezing things, and then click the Alakazam button, and then Moltres to spread status and be strong.
Yeah, no, this team is this is a very Dante team, as you can see the triple poison types in the middle there.
Yeah, Ditto's here. You don't have to.
Ditto's here. The very, very funny Machoke pick and NU.
Yeah, these will probably never show up. Plus, will maybe.
Honestly, I could see a week where Machoke makes it. But I look at Dante's team, and I actually don't think. I think there's a lot of neat stuff going on here. The lack of Stealth Rocks really makes this team more prevalent than it might be. Like if you look at this team in any other format, you might think it's bad, but I think here it can kind of hold its own.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for Dante, his bulky water is Quagsire, and that's gonna be interesting to see if it can hold up.
Hopefully.
That's.
Yeah.
I will say the ability to hit on the special side of things for his team, with having the best special wall Blissey on your team, kind of nice. Not being able to get walled most of the weeks by everybody else, or by the the Blissey teams, or even the only one team pick Chansey. So like having this top 5 and saying, yeah, I got Blissey, that's kind of actually good.
Yeah.
Who needs physical attackers?
You know, like there's not a lot of things that are gonna check Alakazam that much.
Right.
Like maybe like the really bulky steals, like a Jirachi, like a Reggie steal. Oh, you got Vultures.
Yeah. So it's
So like
super
I think
cool.
we're gonna see Alakazam do really well,
Yeah,
which is
definitely
awesome
something
because
I have
we
to
love
say I should have done when I drafted Zam is I should have gotten a nice fire type, and I think Dante with his offensive combo there is going to be super good.
yeah. But yeah, I don't really have much else to add on this team. Just gotta watch out for other psychic types, but you have like the top 3 psychic.
You have,
so that
you
wouldn't worry
have
too much.
Zam and Blissey, so you should be fine.
Yeah, it'll make it work. Speaking of big numbers and statisticals, for some reason, Atomic ended up with Metagross and Salamence, and I think you should all be ashamed of yourselves.
Yes, I will.
But still, this is an incredibly strong physical offense team. I mean,
yeah.
you just look at the first 3. Look at Marowak down there.
I love that he doubled down and took Machamp and Marowak just on top of how ridiculously offensive the first 2 were. Like, okay, we're going to keep it going.
Yeah.
And then
Plus,
backed it up with some pretty nice NUs, I gotta say. Those are quality picks.
Yeah, I like the Haunter pick a lot. We've seen it's a great draft. And having 3 water types that all have different weaknesses, I think is really cool. So you got Wishcash only weak to ground, or only weak to grass, and then Tentacruel now has that ground weakness, and it's like, oh, you know, it's fine. And you got Slow King, who's the psychic type.
Yep, there is Psychics coming out in Tentacruel. Like, this is, if he doesn't want to bring his big beefy boys at the top, he can totally switch up his game plan.
Yeah, for sure. And
Typhlosion, though, I had questions about. I believe the technology I had gotten later in that day was, I wanted a Skarmory counter, but I'm like, making Typhlosion take that UEVL slot is interesting. Both drafts did it.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so many fires, and like Typhlosion is definitely a fire. I mean, I put it after, like, in terms, it's like Moltres, 1A, 1B, and then you got like Blaziken, Houndoom, and then you can argue like Entei, Typhlosion.
Yeah.
Or Flareon if you're based.
For value draft pick potentially.
Yeah.
The only thing I have to think about Drew's team that it's a little unfortunate he didn't get. He got a bunch of really, really good offensive breakers, but he didn't get any spikes to help facilitate their breaking.
Yeah, that is definitely gonna be a bit of an issue. Like, imagine if Tentacruel was Quillfish. I think this team would be even scarier. But like, you can't go wrong with Tentacruel. It's a great spinner.
Yeah, such a good spinner, yeah.
And like, he's only got 2 spikes immune guys, so having a strong spinner is really good. And I think he'll make it work. And if he finds out, hey, I need a spiker, Omanyte's right there.
He got himself.
Yeah.
So I like Drew's team. I believe he would have been the guy who went for Starmie if there wasn't a Salamence left by pick 15. So
Yeah. So if you want to see, we'll pull up the draft order again. Yeah, see, there's Men's. Flygon picked before it. We'll talk about Joel's team next, but he was not actually at draft. He was at Dave and Buster's. So
messaging in his draft.
he was at Dave and Buster's picking his guys, so he made the Buster play of picking Flygon over Mince.
Hey, you'll never know.
I say that like because I have Flygon on my team. But we'll talk about my team later. But I mean, it's Mince.
Hey, we finally got our second team that's been named, the Tax Evaders.
Tax Evaders. Just like he was evading draft.
I know, what a shame.
Yeah, I like
Gengar and Levitate so no spikes for him.
There. Yeah, and then he's just surrounded it with some just powerful attackers. Like, we scroll down, we got Hitmonlee for spin. Raichu, I think Raichu's really good, just in terms of value down here. And then some NU Pokemon that certainly exists. Raticate's here.
Raticate is so good. I'm gonna say that on the PR.
Hey man, you do you. But I also really like the Espeon here for SP Jump. Passing a Calm Mind to Gengar, I think, is disgusting.
Honestly, he can pass a Calm Mind to any of those top 5.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild.
Yeah, like passing some boost to Lapras would be crazy too, because it's so strong. It's so fat.
It doesn't get it doesn't get a good chance to boost its special attack that often. Yeah. And on top of that, like,
Hell, even
He
Raichu.
has, yeah, Raichu, and then he also has Ninjask for the same speed passing, potentially to things like, Entei in certain matchups. I really feel this team's got some very nice baton pass strategy coring.
Yeah.
And while there might be some weird picks, like Tropius, I don't hate it. It's a funny type. We'll see if he ever comes.
Yeah, he's certainly here. But
I
think
don't
Espeon
think
can really
Joel got a
facilitate
spiker
a lot.
as well, right? A lot
Yeah.
less mons, or a lot less people in this Ruby conference took spikes, which I found interesting. So he's gonna have to make that baton pass work for him.
Yeah, for sure.
But defensively, you got the ground immune Pokemon at the top, and you got Entei and Lapras who don't want to take the rock and ground moves in the mid here. So they synergize well in that regard, and I think it'll be fine even if he has to take a few resisted hits.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's the best defensive synergy overall. Like, I think the bulkiest mon here is Lapras. And, Lapras can't really switch into, like, Thunderbolts and things like that. So, there's a lot of electrics. So, just gotta be careful with that. And 1 HP Ice and Flygon can't hang.
Right.
But we'll see how he maneuvers his team. Excited to see him play it. I'm sure we'll see some cool ideas.
Yeah, we're gonna see Espeon hold a key part of this team, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I'm all about that.
Oh yeah, it's gonna make someone's day. Hi Tim.
Let's talk about Will's team. So just for some context, Will was very sick during draft, so he definitely was not in his prime mental state. But regardless, he got Zapdos, but then decided. We'll go back to the draft order. He did take Dusclops. While Salamence was there, he did say that he didn't realize that Mence was still around and didn't think about it. Otherwise, he would have. So a little oopsie daisy there. We all do that sometimes.
Yeah,
Aerodactyl is fine.
Real quick sidebar. I did talk to Will before the draft when he wasn't sick, and he was constantly wondering which of the top 8 was going to fall to him, and he thought it was going to be like Blissey or for some reason Metagross. And I'm like, no, you're not getting Metagross at 7.
No way.
So we generally thought he might get Zapdos at 7, and he did. And I think that's crazy. I think that's crazy, first of all, that he fell that far. But hey, it is what it is. But then at that point, the rest of his draft strategy spiraled, in my opinion, and it was mons that he had never even really talked about taking, like Dusclops and Cradily, even though he likes Cradily. And while he was certainly very down and out during the draft, like he has Nidoking here and Metang, like these were picks I wasn't expecting. I feel like there might be something here, especially with that Articuno pick in UUBL. Just being able to sure, there's a big rock weakness when you initially look at this team, right? Aerodactyl, Zapdos, Articuno. But having Slowbro, having Hitmontop, kind of negates a lot of the teams. That's the defensive core synergy right there.
Yeah,
and being able to supplement in your spiker with Roselia, who is fantastic and for some reason worthy of OU play. And weirdly enough,
if you have spikes, you can be used in OU.
Yeah, so
it's that good.
I feel like his team will be better than he might expect. It just doesn't look good on paper, which is weird.
It doesn't. Aesthetically, because in the past I've ranked all teams based on aesthetic. But we're doing a little bit of everything today. The aesthetic of this team is not great.
No, it's lacking some pizzazz, I'd say.
I think what it really needs, this is going to be a team that when free agency comes around halfway through the season, it's going to see some changes, and once Will kind of realizes how it plays, how he wants to play it, he's going to make those changes, and he's going to have a really strong second half of the year. But there's going to be some growing pains.
I also even consider he might even, if he's feeling better, he might look at the draft and consider if he wants to do any trades. Not that I have any ideas to state at this time, but there could be, maybe he wants to shore up some of his otter picks.
Yeah.
But I don't think any of them are really bad picks. On their own, picking Dusclops second round is a mistake, maybe. And I think most people would say it would be. But Dusclops as your UUBL is really not that bad.
Yeah, Dusclops, he's fat. He can take some hits. It's hard to get rid of.
But
unfortunately,
cool.
Yeah, Will's got a lot of just a lot of shared weaknesses, like the Ghost and Dark here. Like, if that's your really bulky guys, like, something like Houndoom is going to be a problem.
Absolutely.
Like, look at his borderlines, look at Houndoom,
Mm-hmm.
and Aerodactyl doesn't switch in to moves that aren't, like, Choice-Locked Earthquake and stuff.
Right.
So, it'll be interesting
Why would
to
you
see
be hitting
what
Earthquake on this team of all teams? So.
Yeah, you really don't.
So we'll see.
We'll
Hope you feel better soon, Will. But we're gonna move on to Corey at this point, who has a. There's the final of the Big Eight right there, looking at me.
There's Dugtrio. Yes. So Corey is well known in our league for loving Raikou. It's his favorite Pokemon. And during the draft, he asked Aaron, who picked next, if he was planning to take Raikou, and Aaron said that he wasn't planning on it. So Corey took Dugtrio, and then Aaron took Raikou, just to be a dick.
We have that on memory, locked in the draft order for the rest of the time. Raikou is indeed your first round pick.
This
Corey,
was purely out of spite.
I was shocked. I was like, I saw Aaron picking Fortress, which he did. I told Will many times, I said, Will, he's taking Fortress. It's a shame. Don't think that you're going to get Fortress. Mm-hmm. But the fact that, I mean, we'll get to Aaron and Raikou. We'll get there in a second.
Yeah, we'll get there. Yeah, one step at a time.
But I do feel bad for Corey. I thought about it this morning. I said, that's a real shame. Like, obviously, maybe it was funny at the time, or maybe he really did just want Raikou. But like, man,
no, that was really funny.
I can see being upset about that. I understand Corey's pain. Mm-hmm. However, I think Corey's draft team is probably the best team on this list.
You think?
I think it's possibly even better than Adams. I just haven't theory crafted it out too much. But I look at that top 5 and I am sickened. I am absolutely disgusted.
Yeah. So here's our. So we got Dugtrio. Dugtrio with its ability to trap, super strong. Paired with Celebi. This is the only instance of Celebi between both of our drafts, which I think was the biggest red flag in, like, at least when the Sapphire Conference did their draft. I was like, I can't believe nobody took Celebi.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And getting Celebi for pick 10, like, that's honestly value. Like, you could see Celebi going in the first round if in some other, like, competitive Gen 3 draft or something. Like, I get it.
Like, right after Doug, I would have taken, it's either, like, to me, I would go either Salamence or Celebi. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't go them back to back, like, in the case of our draft, but still. It's
great value. And if it was Raikou instead of Celebi, I think this team loses a lot of its luster, because now look at these UUBLs instead. Vaporeon, Hariyama, Dragonite. Yeah. Dragonite wasn't picked for like 17 rounds. Yeah. Like, I look at that and say, oh my gosh, that's the best UUBLs out of every single team.
Yeah, I think I can agree with you there. Just in terms, because I'm also biased because I have Vaporeon as well. I think Vaporeon is top 5 in the borderline tier.
Yeah, it's gonna be beautiful, especially because there's a lack of bulky waters this season, and having one of the best bulky waters that's not taking up one of your limited OU slots is that's choice.
Yeah, and then Hariyama is the best borderline.
Yep, by far.
And then in terms of value in draft, Dragonite is just
Salamence. Yeah, so you got Salamence. You have a team of Dugtrio, Salamence, and Celebi basically, with top tier UVL, Hariyama, and a bulky water, and you go, wow, I can just bring that every week. I don't need to mix it up. It's
like, oh no, I'm weak to all these. Like, oh no, it's Raikou. He's gonna beat my Vaporeon. Just dug it. It's gone.
And yeah, every big electric type or even like a big ice type can just explode to
even
Hariyama or
like
Dugtrio.
Metagross too. Like, I look at this and I go, Metagross is a bit of an issue. Because Vaporeon doesn't really want to switch into Banded Meteor Mash that much. Like, it can, yeah, but if it's running offensive set, then it's not fun. Dugtrio, you just go, okay, Metagross is in, I'm on Baton Pass on the Switch, and then I'm going to get dug in, and it's going to die.
It's going to literally die, yeah. And then on top of that, you got a Spiker in Omastar. One of the best Spikers for a value pick.
You got Manectric.
That's it. And then he's still backing it up with top tiers. Manectric, Misdrevious, Flareon. And in my special, really cool opinion, guys, Vigoroth is underrated and is really good.
Yeah, Vigoroth is a cool guy. Mightyena has Heal Bell and Intimidate.
Yeah.
Might never see it, but it's certainly here.
if there was a team to win it all in the Ruby Conference, I really got to give it to Corey. This team is so gross. It's
very good.
Ridiculous. So I hope that gives him a little bit of, a moment of calm, a moment of slight joy to hear the praise toward his team after the sad, depressing lack of Raikou on it. I think he made it out okay, even with his mental state down the drain.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest,
it's a Big Dog reference.
Yeah. Yeah. If you think like Raikou, it's like strong electric calm mind user. There's your strong calm mind user. There's your good electric. Its stats aren't that much worse.
Yep.
It just doesn't have, the SPDEF that Raikou has. That's literally it.
Yep.
So I think it's better off without it, and that's just me. And I have Raikou on my team.
Yeah. I mean, hey, yours. There's a reason. We'll get to your team. But yeah, Corey, fantastic. Good team theme too. I wish him the best of luck. I'm gonna hate playing him this season.
Yeah, for sure.
Now let's talk about the elephant in the room here.
Yeah, let's talk about Aaron's team. So we talked about Fortress already. Talked about Raikou extensively. Jirachi ended up falling a bit farther than anticipated, just because of how draft flow went. Yeah,
if you look at this board, you might think Jirachi got picked 11th overall. It did not. It got picked in the third round.
Yeah, because everybody kind of forgot it.
Maybe they forgot. Honestly. Maybe they just didn't want it. Like Adam obviously wanted Jolteon, and I get certain teams wanting to pair certain mons better and not feeling they need Jirachi, but the fact that this is a top 12 mon not going till third round is kind of crazy.
Yeah, almost going undrafted as well. I think going back to Joel's team, obviously we look Mence over Flygon, Jirachi over Flygon too.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. But back to Aaron's team. Raikou, we're not talking about Raikou anymore. Medicham, really, really strong.
Love Medicham.
Yeah. It could do a lot of things. It's got Baton Pass. It could do a bulky set. It gets Recover. I didn't know that until I'd already picked it on my team too.
I can't believe you didn't know that when you picked it.
I had no idea.
Set. I had no such idea. A good mod. Yeah. And then the only team to draft Regice this season, and I think that's a baller play. I think Regice is underrated.
Yeah, and then Stantler is here. Shiftry is here. And then...
Yeah, we're getting to some funny picks with Aaron. He picks his friends. He picked Grovyle, which is blowing my mind. But hey, that might be technically the best grass type in NU here. That's not still give it to. Yeah, I'd give it to Blossom. Yeah, Blossom's pretty good. Yeah. Oh yeah, it does get sleep powder. You're right. I'm like, as long as Grovyle gets Leech Seed, he has a job. Wailord, fantastic NU pick. We love Wailord. And I am shocked that Aaron left the draft on pick 8, saying no one will pick my 9th pick, and then proceeded to lose his 9th pick to Corey in Mightyena. Very funny, very comedy. And we're stuck with Seviper, so we do like that. Yeah. Whether or not Seviper's good, we'll see. We'll find out if we even see it. I don't think any of us know anything about Seviper, but on paper, I will say this team does have a pretty big weakness to Doug Trio. Oh yeah. I'm so looking forward to. We'll get his revenge game quite nicely. Yes, I'm very much looking forward to the revenge game. I think it might be a nice little 6-0 and a handshake, but who's to say? Who's to say? That being said, I don't hate the team otherwise. Fortress is a great roll compression. Jirachi is always going to do what Jirachi does. Mm-hmm. And you've still got your, as you lower down a bit here, having your Shifter, having your Wailord, you've got ways to open up the team with Explosion. In fact, you've got 3 Explosion users right there in a row, one after the other. That's true. There's a lot of boom. A lot of boom on this team, and not a lot of ghosts to take them. So I feel like this team could do work just being silly. Yeah, but if you're a fire type, you were going to destroy. It's a delete button. I looked over at Charizard and I looked at Aaron's team and I said, "Wow, instant win." That's a win. Sounds like that's the week that Electrode has to lead. You're right. No, honestly, yeah. So there's the only fire resist here is Wailord. So yeah, that is a big problem. That's a huge issue. So we'll see if Aaron might want to also make some trades to fix that lack of resistances. Maybe even find a way to trade with Will or something. But we'll see. Yeah. But that ends our Ruby Conference draft. Yes. We're gonna move on to the Sapphire Conference, which happened a week ago, featuring the same mons the draft was split, so every conference has a unique set of mons. It's not like the Ruby conference took mons that we couldn't take. So. I'm looking at the Sapphire conference. Matt, we are going to move on to your team. And wow, shocker, is that the biggest bird with the first round pick?
Yeah, it's the biggest bird. There he is.
Wow.
I know, it's crazy. It's truly an unbelievable thing.
You know, I have like a 10 or like 15 message DM about how Chris THT was shocked at how you didn't take T-Tar first round pick and was like unsure what to do with the rest of his life now that he wasn't making a Skarmory team.
That's funny.
I said, man, where were you? You know that Skarmory's going to get first round picked. He's that good. And wow, that sure is a really good Skarmory team, huh?
Yeah, so
coming out the gate. Talk to me about it. Tell me about it.
Real quick. Okay. So for my draft, I went in building around Skarm once I learned I had the first pick, which is cool. I've never had the first pick in one of our drafts before, which is dope. I got really lucky that everybody picked their OUs before it came back to me. So yeah. I could have sat on mine until the end of the draft, which I did, and I took Flygon in the 11th round.
Yeah, it turns out we gave the best player in the history of SAPA a really cool, convenient way to have an even better draft than before.
I think that's funny because the best player in SAPA history got Jirachi and Salamence at the end. So I don't know what you're talking about.
We'll debate that another time.
Yes. And I took Raikou and Vaporeon because I just wanted to shore up weaknesses. My team and Adam's team have very similar philosophies. Just because, we have the electric immunity, we have the fire immunity, because we'll scroll down.
There's a Flareon here.
And then there's a Flareon here, and Delibird. That's my spinner.
Swag out to Delibird getting drafted. Honestly, nobody else had the cojones to do something as brave. So, we like that.
Yeah, so I really just, I paired a bunch of Spike's immune Pokemon, and I really just wanted a way to facilitate Raikou to do a lot of damage, and then Vaporeon to do its thing, and then also use Medicham to break a lot of holes while also having Misdreavus to keep my spikes up while being Spike's immune itself, and then having the ability to mean look and trap things that are annoying. So I kind of went in with the philosophy of what makes all the other Pokemon good and how can I do it on a budget, and that's kind of what happened.
Yeah. And then we're still gonna talk about how some of these lower tier picks like Victory Bell and Chimecho are absolutely worth using still, even on this team in certain matchups. Like every Mon has a role or a niche or a use. None of them are useless whatsoever.
Yeah, I wish I had Vileplume instead, but
well, that's just draft day issues, you know.
That's yeah.
Again, that team with Vileplume even more disgusting than it already is. So let's calm down here. I feel the Skarmory's market's going to be taking a lot of our money this season, and there's not much we can do about it. A lot of prep work. Please sell us only the highest quality produce, okay?
Only the finest quality spikes.
Yeah, thank you. And at the end of the day, this will be my team to win it all right now. This Skarmory core, I think, is just a little bit stronger than Adam's, a little bit stronger than Corey's Doug and Celebi core, just due to the fact that it is running Raikou Vaporeon as the main two, electric water types. I just think that's a slightly bit better than having Blastoise and Jolteon. Nothing wrong with Jolteon. I've come to realize Jolteon's ridiculously good.
Jolteon's super good. And you know what's funny?
Like you get to have Flygon on top of having your quote little Jolteon there and Raikou, and that's such a good pick on a Skarm team.
Yeah, it's funny because I actually was planning to take Blastoise over Vaporeon up until draft day, and I changed my mind, and I'm glad I did. So Adam and I's team would have been even more similar. It's like, why would I need a spinner when I have 6 Mons immune to spikes?
Right.
So that's why I said, it's Delibird. If I really need to get rid of spikes, then Delibird will come. But it's really just Raikou and Vape that
I do really think, on top of that, one thing that's not quite yet noted, both Skarmory teams are here. Nobody drafted Magneton in either draft. They get to roam free. So, could be a thing based off of the fact that we only have 2 OUs instead of 3 or whatever. But hey, at the end of the day, good for the Skarmory teams. Bad for everybody else.
Yeah. Hey, y'all could have taken him, but
We sure could have.
All right, so let's talk about our next T-TAR team, the International Justice League of Super Acquaintances. You will see that there is a slight SpongeBob bias in this conference. I just think that's funny.
I do enjoy that. Yeah. Chris was very disappointed to have the second pick of the draft. I'll just say that.
Really?
He wanted to make a Snorlax and Cloyster and Ludicolo team, if I remember correctly. And I said, Chris, you're getting the second pick of the draft. You're making a T-TAR team.
Yeah, you gotta. Yeah,
you have to do it. You have to be the one. So there's T-TAR, as expected. Second pick of the draft. Comes on back in the wraparound and gets Cloyster. Still goes for it anyways. And
which I mean, Cloyster with Tyranitar, I think is really, really good.
I mean, it's sad that he didn't get to pick Snorlax, but I do love the fact that he got a Spiker with the T-TAR team. He has the necessary tools to do the TSS if he really wants to. It's not fantastic because it's all Mon's weak to fighting, but hey.
Yeah, because like looking down, it's like, thankfully he has 4 flying types.
Yeah, he has a lot of lower tiers that can help out there.
Yeah.
The Slowking and Jumpluff and Dragonite. Even Golbat can do the work. It's 4 times resisted. But what do I think of this team besides it's kind of got that, it's sharing a lot of similarities with the other T-TAR team? I really don't know. It's certainly slower than most teams. I don't believe it has anything speedy besides Jumpluff, and Jumpluff can only do about one thing.
Yeah.
And we're going to find out if Pidgeot and Golbat really have any use whatsoever down there in the NUs.
It's not looking great for them, but, I'm willing to listen.
If I remember correctly, Chris was very, very excited to draft Pidgeot when he realized Pidgeot got Whirlwind. I had to also then tell him that Golbat got Whirlwind and he drafted 2 of the same Mons.
That's funny. It's actually really funny.
Yeah. I'm like, Chris, you drafted 2 guys to do the same thing. Now what? Yeah. So maybe, who knows? Maybe he'll figure it out. Maybe we'll have his baby Skarmers down there do something. But as for value picks, like I think this team can make it work. It's got the hyper offensive dudes. It's got the anti setup sweeper and Jumpluff. Blaziken and Sand Chip could always do some work. So I like it. I think it's got a lot of weaknesses.
Yeah.
A lot of these Mons have 4 times weaknesses or are just not particularly great at taking hits, and it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah,
we'll see how that works.
Yeah, when THT runs into strong fighting types like Ethan's on the. We'll talk about his team next, but strong fighting types, and then I think he's gonna. I don't want to say it's an auto lose to Corey's team.
Yeah,
look at Doug plus Hariyama. I don't know how he's gonna deal with that.
Yeah, that's gonna be hard.
Even with all his flying types that we've noted before.
Never before seen.
Everything else is Doug weak.
The only upside I have to say about Chris's team that I really loved, I love this pick, and I'm super happy he did it. Taking Registeel in the sand is going to be a monster for certain teams to deal with.
Yeah, Curse Registeel is going to do some good.
Curse Registeel versus, let's just say, Ernest team right here, that top 5, oh, that's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
So we'll see how far he can take it.
Yes. All right, let's look at Ethan's team, which I think has the biggest boomer bust potential. This team's either going to do really well or it's going to struggle a lot. We have no idea until we start playing some games. So we got Metagross, we got Breloom, really, really strong physical attackers. Then we got Smeargle. You never know what he's going to do.
Woo! He picked both Spore users? He's crazy.
Yeah, so someone's going to bed. And then pulling out Armaldo and Entei, which, as we've discussed, are solid choices. And then we get down here and we see Ninjask. And Ninjask, from everything we're about to see, is going to be the catalyst for why Ethan has so much boom potential. And it's not Explosion. That's Metagross's job.
Yeah.
Lantern's great. But then we see...
Oh, baby.
The Clamp. The Clamp is Lamp. And getting this thing speed is going to do massive damage. For those who don't know, Clamperl has access to the Deep Sea Tooth, which doubles its special attack, meaning that it can do some obscene damage. The only downside is that it's super slow, but with some speed passing, maybe even a sub pass, right? Not even with the speed, this thing is going to do a lot of damage. And if you're weak to water and this thing gets going, you're going to have some trouble.
There is no safe switching outside of water absorb to Clamperl. Even bulky waters come in and do not enjoy taking that hit.
Yeah, and we don't have a lot of bulky waters, as we discussed.
And
so nobody's taken Milotic and nobody's taken Starmie.
Yeah, no, we really just kind of glossed over that when we were talking. Like, there's no Starmie, no Milotic. Like, I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Where are they? Who left them at home? But Ethan's team is after my heart. This is a beautiful team. I love the potential here. I think it's going, because he doesn't even have to play this team correctly. Smeargle being able to do anything in a format where you know what your opponent is bringing is way underrated.
Yeah.
The only biggest issue with this team that is a little odd is while we love Breloom and we love Go to Bed and we love Focus Punch, he's not the greatest OU. And that if that was like, I mean, sure, Celebi not the best defensive typing with Metagross, but it could have been a higher value OU pick in theory. But I think this team has something that a lot of teams lack, and that's just like raw game breaking, like opening up. Like it's the ability to open up the game just all of a sudden, like boom, the explosion potential, not literally explosion,
but could be.
But it could be even with Metagross, even just boom. All right, now the game's opened. Like we'll see if Ninjask, like running the Ninjask as your core is really high risk, high reward, like you said.
Yeah. And
there's a lot of mons here that appreciate the speed pass. So, and on top of that, we kind of didn't even mention it, but he does have Shedinja. There's only two teams with sand. There's only like half the teams here with spikes. This thing will show up more than you expect.
Yeah.
As weird as
especially with like all of the like explosions, and like doing huge damage. If you just break a big enough hole with Metagross plus Breloom plus like Clamperl, all of a sudden your opponent might not be able to beat Shedinja.
They literally will.
And that's really funny. So we'll see if it actually works. I'm optimistic for him. But Spinda's here. That's it.
Woo! We love having a team mascot.
Yes. So we'll talk about Ernest's team next.
Yeah.
So we got cool. This team is really cool. I think Suicune is going to absolutely dominate in this format.
Yeah, I agree.
If I didn't have the first pick, I was probably going to go for Suicune. I was going to overdraft him in the first round and everything. I think Suicune plus Gengar here is really, really good. And then having Chansey and Regirock to rely on. Yeah, you're weak to fighting. Everyone's weak to fighting.
Everyone's weak to fighting, but you pick Gengar, so you're cool.
But you have Gengar. And then we scroll down, we got Gligar, who's pretty good in the fighting types. And then he has his own fighting type, Hitmonchan.
This might be the quote-unquote best NU squad picked in the Sapphire Conference, in my opinion, as weird as it seems. I think Torkoal and Wailord are incredible for value. They can just boom if they want. They can hit their really nice water fire stab attacks that they get. And then you've got the best mon in NU, Hitmonchan, which is, still a spinner at the end of the day. So he can do a job in OU. I really like Ernest's team. And I think there's a lot of potential with Espeon and Suicune and Gengar to just kind of rip a team open. Like, this is fantastic.
We talked about SP Jump already, but same thing.
Once again, the lack of spikes might be a bit of a problem, but the defensive capabilities to help facilitate Suicune are all here.
Yeah, you just got to be careful about Doug Trio. Which, I mean, this applies to every team, but like,
everybody,
if your walls are on the ground and they're at low HP, you're against a Doug player, they're gone.
Your fate. Accept it. There's no way out.
So just got to be careful with that. And Ernest especially, you got to be careful about. There's not a lot of Pursuit users that got picked, but like you got to be careful versus the Tyranitar team. I'm just looking at the International Justice League of Super Acquaintances. And I'm seeing Tyranitar plus like Blaziken
take out the entire squad,
with the spikes up and the sand is probably the week where Suicune doesn't do a lot. And I think we'll see this team have a really difficult matchup. So I'm curious to see how Ernest plays. He's new to our league and our draft formats, so I am very optimistic and excited to see what he comes up with.
Me too. Honestly, yeah, I always love when new people come in and show off a lot of their ways of playing that we don't usually see. Speaking of new
players, yeah, man, same wavelength, good stuff. Bannon is also new to our draft format. He's new to competitive mods in general. And, I mean, if you pair up Zapdos and Snorlax, even all the way back in Gen 1, you wouldn't think he's new, right? What's up?
You look at that top 5, you don't think he's a new player.
Yeah. If this was a GSC, we'd lose.
Yeah, we'd instantly lose. So true.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful team, honestly. I love honestly, I love the vibes this team gives off. I love its color coordination.
Kecleon.
Kecleon's here. We stand Kecleon in the Dr. B crew. And it's beautiful. It's really missing a bulky water, but you know, at the end of the day, you have the type synergy with the big three with Typhlosion and Executor and Omastar to kind of make up for it. You've got your Zapdos, Snorlax, like he's got Spike, Spin, great typing. There's a lack of sand. The best mod in UU, Kangaskhan, like there's not a lot to dislike about this team.
Yeah, I'd say there's good amount of overlap. I mean, we get the 2 grass types, 2 normal types, which is fine, you know.
Yeah, I don't hate doubling down on type. 3, but oh, sure, 3. Oh, wow, he's a Chad with 3 normal types. Okay.
Yeah. So once again, we have to say your team's weak to fighting, but like that's just the reality of it. So hopefully you have a good fighting type.
Yeah.
You know, but Donphan's great physical wall too. Like Donphan plus Snorlax plus Zap is really, really strong. I like it a lot.
Really, really strong. Yeah. That's a really cool core.
Yeah.
I think
we're gonna see.
Go on.
No, I was just gonna say, like similar to Suicune, Snorlax definitely struggles in ADV OU right now, but like in draft, like maybe not as much in the Sapphire Conference, but looking at the Ruby Conference again, like it's definitely gonna do some work.
Yeah, Snorlax's potential, I think, is like Suicune's, with only 2 teams having T-Tar and only 2 teams having Skarm. He will be a menace. And if he is the last Pokemon in and you cannot phase him out, you could practically call some games right off the bat then.
Yeah.
First Lex can just straight up win.
It's like, even if you, I don't want to say like sack half your team, but like you got a boom user, you got your spikes, you got your ghost, keep your spikes up, keep momentum.
Oh yeah,
keep Zapdos. Fuck, you could literally agility pass the Snorlax.
Okay, please don't do that.
Hey, here, ready? I'm gonna say it. I'm sorry to everyone in advance. Just agility pass to Belly Drum Snorlax and win the game.
So true, honestly. Who's gonna stop you?
Anything over like base 70 speed, but still.
Sorry.
It's fine. But yeah, that's all I gotta say about Bandit's team. I like it.
Yeah, and Zapdos, we didn't even talk about the first round picks, but I think taking Zapdos in the 5th pick is super good. Obviously, Blissey was still on the board, but I don't hate Zapdos going there.
Yeah, I think we talked a little bit before the draft. We expected order to go like Skarm, Tar 1 and 2, and then some combo of Blissey, Metagross for 3 and 4, and then Zap at 5.
Yep.
And like that, we were kind of like, yeah, that's probably what's gonna happen. But Blissey falling, I guess we can talk about that now. Fucked up. This is disgusting, and it makes us look like we're bad players, which yeah, we probably are. But it's fine.
Fell out of the first round too, which was unbelievable.
Yeah.
We had to message Jordan and be like, "Are you sure you don't want Blissey in the first round?"
Yeah. But before we get to Jordan's team, let's talk about JT's team.
Yeah, whack attack. Oh my god, it seems like JT and Drew kind of like, you know, took the 2 flexing muscles and just put them together and said, "Yeah, that's our teams."
Yeah, let's just have some really strong guys.
Yeah.
So we got Swampert, Marowak, really, really strong ground types.
No paralyzation for him, because even if you want to spam it, hey, there's Hariyama with guts. Ugh.
Yeah, true. I didn't even think of that. And you got Aerodactyl to clean up. And you come down here, Sizzler for, agility pass, SD pass.
Oh wow, agility pass to Marowak. Oh, I'm throwing up right now.
Now that I'm thinking about it, JT and Atomic have some very, very similar team structures. Like, I didn't even realize how much they overlapped. Like, Marowak, Tentacruel, Electabuzz again.
Yep. Like I said, we've got some guys who are on that same wavelength, and we'll see who pulls out. I think when they fight each other, it's gonna be
and Blossom
really
too.
Cool. Yeah, and Blossom.
That's so funny.
JT drafted really nicely, in my opinion. I think this team is going to be a menace for certain weeks. I do think it's going to struggle a little bit against the Skarmory teams, but who isn't? It's surprising how much damage a Choice Band Aerodactyl does to a Skarmory. That's all I'm going to say.
It does do a lot, yeah.
It's like 40%. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. Until it pulls out Fizdef against this team, and then it does like 20.
No, it's still good. That's a stab rock slide. I think the only problem with JT team is it's the same thing with Drew's team. They both drafted these great, wall breaking potential, really open up the game with their ability to hit the physical moves. Really, really, honestly, the hardest in the game. But they both didn't draft a spiker. And not getting that extra chip is going to take a lot of those 2-hit KOs or 1-hit KOs and just miss out just barely. But unlike Drew's team, this one does have a knockoff Hariyama to help really break down some of the big physical walls, take off their lefties, and allow Aerodactyl and Marowak to sweep later. So, I think JT's team is underrated. I think this is one of my favorite teams in this conference.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Just in terms of looking at conference strength, I think JT's sitting at number 2 or number 3. The one who would challenge that is actually Hall's team, which we can get into now.
Yeah, Hall's team does not look good.
It does not look good on paper.
But you look at and then you try to think about how to beat it, and you go, uh-oh.
So just to kind of outline it, I'm playing Hall the first week, and
You're playing Hall
I
weekend?
have 6 Levitate Pokemon, and I still said, damn, I'm weak to Doug.
Isn't that lovely?
Yeah, because everything that Doug Trio can't deal with Jolteon well.
I can't believe you actually have 6 Levitators. I just saw that now. That's gross.
And then you got Weezing, the physical tank, just taking all the hits because this is a very physically frail team as we go down. We got Blastoise, we got Roselia for spikes too, and Yanma's here for some reason.
Wow, he really drafted Yama thinking Yama got Baton Pass. If Yama got Baton Pass, that thing would be in UU.
Oh, I know it didn't. Oh yeah, that's bad. Never mind.
Yeah. But I don't actually hate Yanma. It's one of the only fast bug types because you protect. You get a speed boost, and now you're basically just like a slightly.
What do you do with his attacking stats?
You do something. In certain weeks against bug weak mons, I don't hate it.
Have any of these teams been weak to bug?
No.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe Celebi. Maybe it's the week against Corey Celebi. That's all I got.
Just HP bug with Doug, and you don't have to worry about it. You just delete it.
Very true. But having Weezing and Jolteon is, and even having to take the psychic attacks, that is a weirdly good defensive core.
Yeah, it's hard to do.
Very hard to Adam's team. Think about it. Yeah. Take Weezing, pretend it's Skarmory. That's Adam's team.
No, literally, yeah.
So that's why I like Hall's team a lot.
And Blastoise is there too. Yeah, no, you're right. I didn't even think about that. And then we even talked about Jinx.
We are going to
talk about Jinx. I think Jinx is great.
What a pick! What a great mom that can right. If you're willing to lead Jinx, lovely kiss, put something to bed, spam Ice Beam until you die, kind of deal. It's going to do what it's always done, and it's fast. It has Calm Mind. It has a bunch of support moves. It's really good.
It's great.
Whether or not I think it's going to... The problem with Jinx is always its consistency, right? And whether or not Hall is willing to commit to the possible missing and inconsistency in Jinx is really what's going to... we're going to see if he can get away with it. But it's a good mon. It really is nice to have. It's hard to... I think a lot of Gen 3 is hard to pick a good lead. And when you're running a Jinx team, you don't have to think too much about it.
Yeah, you can lead... just lead Jolteon.
Jolteon,
you're faster than everything. You baton pass out. It's a bad matchup. You force switches. Then you baton pass into Doug. Take my team. If I were to lead Skarmory, and I was like, oh, that's Jolteon. I run away and I go Raikou, and then you baton passes into Doug and dies. That's it. It's over. GG. It's just little things like that. It's dang. Because it doesn't look like it's very strong. Cause it's oh, it's Doug Trio, it's Jolteon. They can't take any hits.
No,
they'll just delete you. It's very scary.
They are an incredibly powerful offensive duo, while also breaking open like forcing your team to be broken open for the rest of his team, and I like that a lot.
Yeah.
If I have to give,
they're so fast.
You're just so much faster than every other team. Like, there is one team here that can beat those two, and that's Aerodactyl, and he at best speed ties. And the only other team is Ninjask, and Ninjask cannot deal with either of those.
Yeah.
So
plus, like, oh no, Aerodactyl, and you just go Weezing, and Aerodactyl bounces off of it.
Irrelevant. Yeah, it's irrelevant if you go into Weezing. Yeah. So it's cool. I like Hall's team. I've already kept up like 3 ideas against his team because I'm like, this is a problem team.
Yeah, I'm already building, and I'm already struggling.
Yeah.
And again, 6 levitators.
Mm-hmm. So. The power of Doug Trio. And I think that's why he was picked over Blissey, which is so weird. Yeah. Like, I like this team almost more with Doug Trio.
Oh, yeah, without Blissey, I don't think it's good.
Well, no, because with Blissey's Weezing is always good. But, like, with Doug Trio being able to facilitate the Jolteon and the Weezing and the Houndoom is so nice. Mm-hmm. And now we can get...
Fuck, you trap Blissey. And then look at your special attackers.
You do, and now what's going to stop any of that? Yeah.
Yeah.
What stops Houndoom against Jordan's team if you trap Blissey and kill it?
Exactly.
Like, okay, maybe Flash Fire Porygon too, but you still got Crunch.
Yeah, Porygon will do fine. Yeah. But, like, look at everything else. Let's talk about Jordan's team.
Well, first, I want to go a quick little shout out to Hall's team name, the Alaskan Bullworms. As always, he's got the sauce. Yeah. Now here's Planet of the Pass. Shout outs to the greatest team logo I think anyone has ever seen in SAPA history. I'm sorry, Matt, you've made some baller logos, but this one's...
No, I draw in MS Paint. It's not real art.
Yeah, this is real art. Like, I would...
It's legitimately real art. We have it up on the screen right now. But, yeah.
Beautiful logo.
Let's talk about this team because it's fat as shit and it looks very, very hard to break. Yeah. Just looking at, like, Blissey. Okay, weak to fighting. You got Claydol. You got Dusclops.
Yep.
Oh no, spikes are scary. You just spin it away with the best spinner.
Yeah, only one of the conferences even drafted Claydol, which is pretty interesting considering how ubiquitous he is in OU and how good of a spinner he is in this gen.
Yeah.
Better than Starmie, even so.
Yes.
Yes. And Jordan wasn't here for the draft, so she was just messaging me all her picks. So the team got kind of weird, but this is probably the bulkiest team out of every conference. Really,
just year 2.
Gross top 3 to deal with.
It's going to be tough.
Have to deal with Porygon 2 on top of all that.
Yeah. Because, like, fighting plus ghost coverage is very good, but, like, there aren't a lot of Pokemon that can feasibly, like, dish that out effectively. Like, Ariama's got a high attack stat. He could do a really good job with knockoff and everything. Medicham will rip through.
Medicham will rip this team apart, but only for a little bit.
Yeah.
I do think, like, a lot of Mons, in order to break Claydol, Blissey, Dusclops, need to run a choice band. And if you make the wrong prediction...
Yeah. And then they just go into, like, you lock into choice band Shadow Ball, then she goes Blissey.
Right. You're just like, oh, now I got to do a Blissey again. And I think it's gonna be gross for a lot of teams that aren't running, the biggest wall breakers or having a Doug Trio are going to struggle against Jordan's team.
Yeah, this is definitely one where if you don't have a strong matchup, you might just thud out. Like, I'm looking at THT's team here, and, like,
matchup.
Blaziken looks strong on paper, but, like, if Blaziken gets worn down, especially with the sand up, and then we didn't even, like, go through the rest of her team yet.
Quick talk about the rest of the team. This team does have its issues, but it is running...
Oh, yeah, there's Glalie. There's Spikes, too.
Glalie as the spiker, so, oh, man.
Yeah.
And it does have camera. We love base camel in this chat.
I love base camel.
There's a lot to discuss. There's a massive fighting weakness, sure.
Everybody has one.
But everyone has one. 5 Mons weak to fighting at minimum is pretty brutal. And there's some weird picks like a Azumarill and Crawdaunt. But I think top 3 and Glalie, and then you just support with whatever you want left each matchup, I think that's just going to be so good. And we'll see if Jordan can hang with this team.
Yeah. Might be one where free agency really shores up the weaknesses.
Yeah,
like as they come up more apparent.
Yeah, like a Azumarill Aggron, if they end up not being able to do their job and you can switch them out, like, I don't hate that.
There's so many good water types in UU. And Azu is just not one of them.
He is not one of them.
This is not one of them.
But I like Azu. Just maybe not on this team. I love Belly Drum Azu. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
I just like, man, this is going to be interesting to see if, like, you could build a team around it, sure. With Porygon 2, you can build a team around
You can make it work.
Mazu, but, like...
You don't have... Aqua Jet doesn't exist.
No, you don't.
So, like, you can't really do it too well. You would want to pass speed, and despite, does plus will get agility?
You do have agility plus all time, yeah.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, like, this team theoretically can build around it, but, like, I don't see any reason why Jordan doesn't bring the top 3 every single week and say, you must deal with my 100%. Game plan. So that's why I think this team.
And then Sceptile gives you the speed because it's so fast. I think it's the same speed as Doug.
Correct.
So like, and Doug like choice band locks in, like you get plus. Oh, speaking of fucking Doug, Porygon comes in after, deletes it. Yeah. So like Doug is not really an option.
Against Doug teams, so like fantastic. Yeah. You don't have to deal with Doug after it kills one thing and then it dies.
Mm-hmm.
So
honestly, that could be very game breaking, especially for a balanced core.
Yeah. And on top of that, we don't even talk about this, but Sceptile leech seed on a stall team, on a very bulky team, that's going to be gross.
Yeah, it forces switches. You sub, you seed.
Mm-hmm. You
give pursuit too.
Recovery to Dusclops, who really enjoys that. So it's going to work out nicely. I think that top 5 is really nice. And good name. I mean,
yes.
The best logo I've ever seen. I mean, I really thought we were getting a 58 joke here with Planet Pass, but...
Hey, life, it never die. Women are my favorite guy.
That is what...
like the video if you understand that reference. Brian, let's talk about your team.
Yeah.
Cash Crabs and the Krusty Crew, because looking at the top, it doesn't look too crusty, and then you get down, and...
It's crusty.
It's crusty.
It add down here.
Yeah, so Brian, tell us about your secret formula.
My secret formula was I knew I was getting the 9th pick, and I knew I was not going to be in the top 8, and I cried about that. Damn, I'm not getting any of the fun guys. So I said, who's the most broken combo of dudes left? And I went, wow. Ments. Wow. Rachi. Oh, these are pretty cool. Let's try that out. Originally it was be like Celebi and Rachi, but I wanted to make a Celebi team. I think Celebi with Baton is so nice.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't really get around drafting like Rachi or Celebi. You have to let both of them go in that case.
Yeah, and it's hard to justify.
It's hard to justify letting either go to a team that already has a top 8, in my opinion. Like, if you have a top 8 Mon and one of these two, like, scary.
Yeah.
So I think my team's hand was a little forced in this slot, and I was like, if you could try and argue, you can just get dragged later for Ments. And maybe you could play Milotic here or something, but I think this is one of the best 1-2 punch that isn't a top 8 Mon.
I think it is the best 1-2 punch.
So I was really happy with those two, and I said, cool, I got this. Now I had to wait like 2 more picks for the rest of my draft and went, uh-oh. Now all of my options are gone.
Yeah.
And everything I wanted to do in the draft had already fallen apart. So
yeah, I didn't even what did you take?
I didn't get to take Hitmon. I didn't get to take him. I was really sad.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you went Hitmon top Quillfish, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, I drafted Quillfish in the mock. He wasn't good. I don't know why I then also took him here. I think I remember. I think the reason being is I wanted to pick Glalie, and Jordan had already messaged me she wanted Glalie at that point, and I went, well, it would be kind of rude for me to then have to go back and forth and say, no, I'm taking Glalie. You won't get Glalie. You're gonna get something else. Pick something else. Like, because she wasn't here, so I said, I'll just, she can have Glalie. I didn't want to Roselia, so I just took Quillfish. Like, Panic took Quillfish. I think that might have been a mistake. I still argue having a spiker on a team, a bad spiker, is better than no spiker at all.
I agree.
So we'll see if that works, but like it's gonna be hard to fit him in. And then Hitmon top, I kind of expected him to be a little bit better with spinner. Blastoise is already gone. That was a big one, right? Like round 3, Raikou, Vaporeon, Blastoise were all gone by this point, and I went, like if I don't draft Hitmon top here, I don't have a good spinner. Right, like I won't have a good spinner. And he has Intimidate, so I thought maybe he could work well with...
You have a nice double Intimidate core.
Yeah, like the double Intimidate core is cool, but then I didn't back it up at all. The rest of my draft picks didn't go right, and I'm lacking a nice special wall. And I was just like, I picked Gorbis, I picked...
Jirachi.
Not really. I picked Gorbis, I picked Taunt. Like, I picked okay Mons.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got to end use and I said, I'm not winning this. I picked Pikachu and Kingler, and I said I'm making cash grabs in the Krusty Crew.
Look, you would have taken Pikachu anyway.
The more I look at Pikachu, the more I realize early gen Pikachu really limit his move pool. They don't let you put moves together that you want to put together. I keep forgetting that, and I've done this in multiple seasons now, where I take Pikachu, go, yeah, he's the best, and he's a cool guy. Look at that little guy, he's so happy.
He's so cute.
But like, man, not being able to run like certain moves together still in Gen 3, even then, like even with the limited move pool, you can't do certain things that you want to do, that you kind of need to do. So he's really limited in his use. He's just here to, wall break. Kingler's probably the worst mon out of every NU mon, and that is crazy because Spinda's here.
No, you can't say that. Yanma is here.
I cannot find a use for Kingler.
Shelgon is here too. We glanced over Shelgon too.
I'm sorry, we did. We can talk about how bad Shelgon is.
Shelgon fucking sucks. But if you want some, here's a story time. So I ladder DPP a lot, and in 2021, before one of our drafts, I decided on a whim. I probably was drinking that night. I said I'm gonna build a team with Shelgon because Salamence is one of my favorite Pokemon.
Yeah.
And I put the team together, and I actually had really good success with it. So much so that I think I got like top 50 on the ladder with it, and it influenced like the usage stats. So Shelgon was like having usage, and I thought that was fucking hilarious. And all I ran was Choice Band Outrage with Sleep Talk.
For a moment.
Oh no, it was Choice Scarf, Outrage, Sleep Talk, and Wish. I'd Wish too.
Out of curiosity, does Outrage, when you call it in Sleep Talk, does it lock you into it?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I should know that, but I don't remember.
But yeah, Shelgon does not have a good Outrage in this gen. He does not have. Maybe he still has Wish, but
it does have Wish, but it's bad.
But it's bad. It's not Dragon Dance. It's not. You can bend, but Outrage is a special move. So like, what are you gonna do? Has Double Edge and Rockhead. So there you go. Yeah, I like my team. I'm not gonna call it great. I think it's missing. It's missing a good solid like specially defensive water type is the real problem here.
You're not lacking water types.
I have 3 water types and none of them do that.
Well, Ludicolo can do it.
He's all right. He's okay. I think Ludicolo is probably the most underrated UUBL. He's really, really good, and I'm shocked he did not get drafted in the other conference. But hey, more happiness to me. I get the funny guy. I get to cue the music one more time. And then I don't think Alakazam got drafted in the other conference either.
Yes, he did. We talked about him.
Yeah.
Dante took him.
Alakazam's the boomer bust of this team. He is so mid. But oh my god, that speed tier, that special attack, his move pool in general, with the right prediction, Alakazam will win me weeks. But if I mess up once, he's just going to be dead weight, and that's really not that good.
Yeah.
And then lastly, I'm trying Steelix for the first time. I already have Jirachi, so the double Steel Core is a little strange, but at this point, it was the last pick of the draft.
It's a good
and
ground.
I didn't have a ground type, so I'm like, you know what? This might be Steelix's gen. I think he can do it. A little testing, yeah, he's pretty good. This team,
he's like mini Metagross.
Very mini.
Yeah, that's like when Mario gets the little blue mushroom.
Yeah,
like that. But like he's very large, which is funny.
I think it's nice that like unless you're a fire type, you can't really one-shot him. Like you have to be a really strong fire or water type. Like I don't think like Blastoise Surf can one-shot a Steelix or something like that.
Blastoise does not do damage.
Right. So like it's nice that he can do his job if he needs to. He can take on his bad matchups if he has to. Assuming I'm not, jumping into 25% spikes every turn. So I like my team a lot. I don't think it's fantastic. I think it's going to be like one of those years again, Matt, where I game plan really well each week. And then by the time I get to playoffs, this team just can't make a team that beats all these teams and kind of just mids out again. So
yeah, it kind of reminds me of your 2 of your DPP squads. The first one you had, funny enough, you had Ludicolo.
We love Ludicolo.
That one where there's like really good ideas, but they don't mesh the way that you think they will. And then the one season where you went undefeated, but you got to playoffs and you just couldn't handle the other teams.
Yeah, I'm feeling very similar, and that's why I'm like, man, I should just let somebody else draft my team at this point. I like my draft ideas, but like half of my draft ideas didn't make this team, and I really should have tried to figure out a better way. I will say, and to everyone out there, this is technically a rain dance team on paper.
Yeah.
It doesn't abuse it that well, but there are 3 Swift swimmers, so it's there. There's no damp rocks, so it's not for long. But hey,
like look at a team that's weak to water. Like,
yeah.
I always go back to THT's team just because it's like in the middle of my screen. But like, bruh, look at Ludicolo in the rain.
Yeah, he can do it. Oh, he can totally do it.
He can totally do it.
I just, oh boy, a lot of the problem with this team is hitting its hydro pumps because Surf does not do enough damage.
Hydro pump is a bad move.
It's a bad move. Yep, time to hit Surf anyways and get some spikes up, King.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a fun team. The whole gimmick is simply the fact that I drafted Kingler, and we'll probably not be very happy that probably should have been Chimecho. But hey. Well, we have to live with these decisions. Mm-hmm. Matt, what do you think of the Sapphire Conference? Who do you think's got the best team?
I'd be lying if I said it wasn't mine.
I definitely have to agree. I think it's Matt's. I think it's secretly JT, and then Hall. But Hall's probably a more obvious second pick, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Hall came into this thinking I'm going to make a broken team around Doug Trio, but
yes, he did.
Oh, did he actually?
He was like, I'm going to draft Doug Trio, and I'm going to pair it with Jolteon, and I'm just going to be really fast. And then he said, Weezing is funny, I'm going to take him. So he kind of got his plan. And
by the way, look at my team in the Halls. That's a brutal matchup.
I don't know, you just used mixed meds.
Jolteon Doug Trio moment into Jirachi.
Oh, well, yeah, that part sucks.
Like, once the pieces get torn apart, Hall's team just wins. Like, that top 5 rips apart my top 5 on the right, if he just gets the right switches. It's really great.
Is Zam faster than Doug?
No, they speed tie.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
It's so brutal. I'm like, Doug Trio is sitting at such a beautiful speed tier in Gen 3.
Yeah.
There's only 4 mons that are faster than it in the entire metagame. And, 2 of them are completely irrelevant.
True.
In fact, that might be, yeah. Two are irrelevant and 1's on Hall's team, so there's only 3.
Yeah. I guess to wrap up, let's talk about things that, like, cool things we noticed, like obvious omissions. We talked about Milotic, talked about Starmie. Them not getting picked was baffling. There was no Heracross.
No, and he is so good without
Heracross is so good.
Like, I could unironically, if there was like a 10th team, or even if like Aaron was to pick this, right? Like, I could see somebody saying, I want Heracross and Magneton, and they would be like reasonably like, okay, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he is that guy. He is one of the only Mega Horn users. He is the strongest attacker, probably the strongest attacker. That's not Marowak. So like, the fact that he went undrafted is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
The fact
that Heracross
that
again has dominated our drafts too.
Yeah, Heracross has like one of the most most season wins in like the history of SAPA. So
it's probably the highest win percentage between you and I.
Yeah.
We use it all the time.
We do love our good Heracross. And
there's no choice scarf, so I can't. I only know Scarf Heracross. I only know Click Mega Horn.
Let me introduce you to Choice Band Guts Heracross.
that shit's a drug too.
Yeah, one of the best wall breakers. I would have been so scared if I had to face it personally. And then the limited usage of OU slots led to a few more, I think, interesting. I wish the Pokemon order was still up from last draft, so I don't have that anymore. So give me a sec while I get to the list.
Pull that up.
No, I just mean like the actual list of OU mons.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, I just brought it up. The fact that nobody out here drafted either fire type in the Sapphire Conference is pretty neat, I have to say.
Yes, that was very interesting.
Like, I know that Moltres and Charizard and pretty much every other gen we've played are bad. And maybe there's a reason, maybe that led to people not wanting to actually pick them. But man, in this generation without Stealth Rocks, they are actually insane.
Yeah, because like, look at all the steel types and mons that are weak to fire. specifically like fire plus grass. I mean,
yeah. I want to give shout outs to UBL slots. I'm a little disappointed nobody took Dodrio. I tried for a long time to sell Dodrio to people, and I guess they just weren't buying. I think he's a neat guy. I think he's one of the best voice band users. He has Baton Pass, early bird, but hey, free agency. And then I want to give a special shout out to everybody. Everybody deserves this shout out. You all deserve a round of applause. Thank you, everybody, for not drafting Kingdra. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Good job. I'm so proud of all of you.
Kingdra fucking blows.
Kingdra's mid.
Kingdra's so bad.
And I think those are my big like misses and hits, I'd say, in terms of mons that weren't drafted. Pretty much every mon got drafted that you would expect. Obviously, there's a few missing ones that are weird, like in UU. Like nobody went out of their way to draft like Ninetales, which I think is interesting considering it's a flash fire type in UU.
Yeah, I think that in terms of like the fire types, I think fire is very underrepresented.
Yeah. Oh, I wish I had a fire type. Like every day of my life, I wish I had a fire type. I look at like half of these steel mons, like the Skarmory and Fortress Weeks, and go, wow. What I'd give for a nice stab fire flamethrower right now.
Yeah.
But
so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see who gets away with that. Matt, nobody took your Trapinch offer. I'm disappointed.
Nobody took Trapinch. I'm so upset. I'll probably pick up Trapinch at free agency just because I shilled him very hard.
JT at the end of the day did not take Lickitung like he said he would. Very sad.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
That's messed up, man. But I love the draft. I think it was exciting both days we were here. It seemed like everyone had a lot of fun. I certainly did.
Yeah, draft day is the best day of the year.
I believe our season starts next Monday, correct?
Yeah, it's gonna start Monday, and then we will be back with the first real episode of the PR following that, and we'll break down all the games, and it'll be a good time. So
yes,
thanks for watching. Please check your schedule tab, everybody. Yes.
They're already set up for the entire rest of the season, but you can check your round one.
Check it out right here.
Yep. Thank you, JT. I just want to say he did a fantastic job with this.
Yes.
It's all super convenient. Even has the showdown tags on the side there, so please use those for your reference. And yeah, thank you guys for sitting through this long PR talk with us, this long draft day talk. I always love a new season. I can't wait to see what everyone brings.
Yeah, this is going to be a season of heater technology, and we're going to see some really creative stuff. And we're going to have a great time. And we hope that you, the viewer, enjoy listening to us talk about pixels for, what is this, an hour and a half now?
It sure has been.